there. Welcome to Healing Outside the Box. My name is Jean Tiberio, and I'm a nutritionist and a health and wellness coach. Today I'm bringing you episode 298, which I'm calling, What's in This Thing? A closer look at GOLO. And I'll get to that in a minute. But first I want to bring to your attention a wonderful organization called World Central Kitchen, led by a man named Jose Andres. You may have heard a story recently about 7 relief aid workers getting killed in Gaza while trying to feed thousands of starving people. What many people don't know is that this organization and this wonderful person have been everywhere in this country as well, going straight to where there is a dire need for food and water. He's been to hurricanes, wildfires, floods, war zones, etc., where they head towards the disaster while the rest of us are escaping. His motto is, quote, help us use the power of food to nourish the world, end quote. I'll give you a link in the show notes to their website, World Central Kitchen, but you can just Google World Central Kitchen as well. I encourage you to watch the video on the homepage. It's only about 2.5 minutes, and I challenge you not to tear up watching the wonderful things they are doing to help those in dire need of food and water. As Jose says, quote, when you talk about food and water, people don't want a solution 1 week from now, 1 month from now. The solution has to be now, end quote. Some of you may be wondering, why isn't the U.S. government part of the solution? Although financial donations to groups like World Central Kitchen and Doctors Without Borders are always helpful, the government on their own may screw it up. If the government tries to deliver the food themselves, they may decide to drop food like Pop-Tarts from the sky, as they did with either Hurricane Katrina or the earthquake in Haiti. I don't remember which, but I do remember seeing crates of Pop-Tarts being delivered to starving, dehydrated children. And you don't have to be a food scientist like myself to know that high-sugar junk food fed to a dehydrated child is not the way to go. The sight of those Pop-Tarts being delivered was nauseating to me, but not as nauseating as it will be to those poor children. As they say at the World Central Kitchen, quote, food is a universal human right, end quote, and it needs to be real food. So if you're inclined to do so, they could use help in any way that you can contribute, especially in the Gaza right now, but also in the Ukraine or just anywhere, whether it be a hurricane, tornado, wildfire, they will be there feeding us. Now let's get back to GOLO. First of all, what is it? That's what many people ask, because quite frankly, it's not well defined in their ads or their website. Basically, it calls for a relatively restrictive, low-fat diet, roughly 1,300 to 1,400 calories a day, with supplements to be taken 3 times per day. The supplements cost $60 per month every month. And unlike what I was led to believe at first, there is no specific dietary advice or counseling. Here is how it is advertised. GOLO claims to help you lose weight by regulating your hormones, especially insulin, using a diet with a supplement they called Release. Quote, GOLO Release works because it targets insulin resistance and metabolic health. It contains 7 plant extracts and 3 minerals, including chromium, and a proprietary blend that work together to stop further weight gain and starts working immediately to reverse insulin resistance so your body can start to release stored fat, end quote. That was a direct quote, so I can't take responsibility for the grammar. Although from Boston, so it's grandma, not grammar, I guess. So the supplement called Release is designed to be taken with the GOLO diet 3 times a day. But what's the GOLO diet? I don't know. If you look up GOLO for reviews of this product, you may see the word sponsored in many places that appear to be an honest review. One of them says, quote, dietary supplements are not medicines. They aren't meant to treat or cure disease, end quote. Well, that's interesting, since they claim exactly that in their advertising. Another statement from one of these links says, quote, companies that make supplements are responsible for the safety of their products. They must ensure that their products are free of contaminants and that they're accurately labeled, end quote. Well, that is just not true. Dietary supplements don't need approval by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or FDA, and they don't have to say how much of the active ingredient that they're putting in that thing. However, if a supplement is found to be unsafe, the FDA can issue warnings or ask that it be withdrawn from the market. But that doesn't seem to be working. First of all, as I've mentioned, they don't give us the dose of the active ingredient. And in another case, with Balance of Nature, the FDA has, in fact, issued a warning to the makers of Balance of Nature to withdraw it from the market. But Balance of Nature is still on the market and they are still advertising. Now, the FDA theoretically can also take action against companies that make false or unsupported claims in order to sell their supplements, but this can get tricky. Let's take zinc. It's one of the 3 micronutrients that's actually on the label. A beneficial result with taking zinc would only apply if you're deficient in zinc. I have been working in this field for decades, and I have yet to encounter a single patient with a zinc deficiency. That's the kind of thing that tragically happens in war-torn countries like Gaza or the Ukraine. Now, what about the Better Business Bureau? There have been several complaints to BBB about this GOLO product. As you can imagine, there were 3 types of complaints. Either they were asking for a refund that the company promises and not getting it. They usually receive the refund after they filed the complaint. In other cases, they complained because the product did not work for them. In one case, the person gained weight. The third group of complaints were about side effects. And this one concerns me. The side effects were mostly GI related. But all of these supplements need to be tested. There's many plant extracts in unknown doses with unknown side effects. There are medical side effects that are possible by taking them. This product needs to be regulated. This, quote, proprietary blend of herbal ingredients, end quote, have not been tested or even listed properly. Now let's go over the diet for a minute and then get back to the supplements themselves, which is really what they're selling. It recommends, like I said, the restrictive calories, but the way you get there is extremely vague. They basically don't tell you. Here's what is allowed. Quote, proteins. And they list all of them. Beef, chicken, pork, salmon, eggs, beans, legumes, tofu, tempeh, bone broth, which is not a protein. Dairy, apparently, includes high-fat dairy. You could eat 1,300 calories just in ice cream alone. So that is not helpful. Carbohydrates, whole grains, brown rice, oats, quinoa, barley, bread, and pasta. Fruit, which is not in the carbohydrate category, and beans and legumes once again. Under vegetables, it just says all. Fats, butter is allowed apparently, olive oil, coconut oil, avocado, nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds are not in the fats category. Okay, so much for the diet. Really not much to say there. Now, for the ingredients in the pills. Now, there are 3 minerals in this product, but they are not necessarily minerals that we usually need from a supplement source. The minerals they have are magnesium, zinc, and chromium. I don't know why they picked these 3, but I'm guessing that it's because they are involved in carbohydrate metabolism, but many other minerals are as well. Now, magnesium. In one pill, there's 15 milligrams, or 4% of our daily recommendation. Magnesium, yes, is an important mineral, but not more important than the others, and it's abundant in nature. It functions in our muscle contraction, nerve conduction, and energy metabolism. With magnesium, there are toxicity symptoms, mostly GI related. So if we don't need it, why are we taking too much of it? Next, zinc. One pill contains 10 milligrams, or 95% of our daily recommendation. You may think this is great, but we don't need zinc from a supplement. Zinc is a trace mineral that has multiple functions throughout our body. It's known for wound healing, immunity, and general growth of cells. It's a cofactor in lots of chemical reactions, but that makes it no different than many other minerals. A deficiency is very rare, and there's no reason to pick this out as something that is needed for weight loss. I have no idea what I did, and I've been studying nutrition for over 40 years. I'm not going to waste my time trying to figure it out. Chromium is the third. Chromium's a trace mineral, meaning you only need micrograms, not milligrams. It's involved in carbohydrate metabolism and is found primarily in meat, egg yolks, and nuts. They give you 70 micrograms, which is 200% of the daily recommendation. Now, chromium deficiency, again, is rare, primarily limited to wasting diseases such as cancer and anorexia. But if you're deficient in chromium, you could have a problem with insulin resistance. Say if you have pancreatic cancer. But as my doctor once told me about my disease, if you have got pancreatic cancer, you've got problems. For the rest of us, there's no need for 200% of the daily recommendation. Now, the rest of the ingredients, the herbal extracts, have no percent daily value because they are not required for our bodies. If you want to supplement your diet with minerals, I'd recommend just getting a mineral supplement that provides many minerals in the amounts that they're needed. Now, so the rest is called a proprietary blend. Some of the most popular herbal supplements like this claim to improve nutrition, boost energy, build muscle, or burn fat. If you hear statements like that, keep in mind that there's no way that would pass a burden of proof test, especially because they're not giving you any amounts or why you're taking them. I have some episodes on supplements that I've recorded in the past, and I'll leave a link to them in the show notes. Basically, it's episodes 237 to 240. Now I'm going to run down the supplements that they list here because a few of them really surprised me. The first herbal supplement in this pill is called rhodiola. This is a yellow flowering plant native to Northern European countries like Sweden or Norway. The root is used medicinally, and it has traditionally been used for strength and stamina. In Russia, it has been given to couples to enhance fertility. I haven't found any studies on that in particular, but there has been 180 studies looking into rhodiola with mixed results. One study actually found that the rhodiola extract can cause weight gain. I do get into the supplement in more detail in episode 240, about 25 minutes into the episode. But this is interesting. In some studies, it may help reduce symptoms of depression. The theory here is that it may be increasing a bit of serotonin. However, high doses of rhodiola have been associated with side effects. One of the possible side effects might be an increased risk of hormonal cancers. I don't recommend starting on this without talking to your personal healthcare professional first. The second substance is called inositol. This is a sugar-like substance that is abundant in the brain and other tissues. It mediates cell signal transduction. In other words, it helps cells communicate and transmit information. This could be in response to hormones or neurotransmitters. It appears to help with the function of insulin. But the question really is, does it help with weight loss if you take it? Now, the FDA doesn't regulate supplements in this way, so they can't advise the public on this. But we all in our bodies make inositol in the amounts that we need. There is no reason to think that we would be deficient in something that our bodies can make, unless we have an error of metabolism that makes us genetically predisposed to make insufficient amounts. But it is certainly not the cause of insulin resistance for the rest of us. I'm guessing on this, but there may be a risk, in fact, if you take a large amount of the substance in pill form and then stop abruptly. Again, I'm only guessing at this, but it may be like the case of vitamin C, where if you take a large amount in pill form and stop, you can actually create a deficiency. And we don't want that. Now, the third substance is berberine. Berberine taken by mouth is supposed to prevent insulin from rising. There was a 2022 publication of 18 studies that examined the effect of berberine on weight and presumably insulin resistance. There were some positive effects on weight seen primarily in people who took berberine in doses of more than 1 gram per day for at least 8 weeks. That's a lot of berberine. But some of the data was inconsistent. I interpret that as they may have not been double-blind placebo studies. If people knew that they were taking the drug, there may be more incentive to believe it works, and they may, consciously or not, do better with their eating habits. This is the problem working with we humans. Rats don't know they're supposed to fail. The humans in these studies also had diabetes or fatty liver disease already. In other words, the studies were not designed for the general population. The bottom line is that there is definitely interest in this supplement, but more research is needed to support the claim that it helps people lose weight. The fourth on the list is gardenia. We've probably heard of this. Gardenia is a flowering plant native to southern China. It has been used in Asian traditional medicines for centuries. Asians use gardenia for high blood pressure, diabetes, insomnia, anxiety, and many other conditions. But as of right now, there is not good scientific evidence to support these uses. That doesn't mean that there isn't something in it that might be useful. We just don't know for sure. One of the chemicals in gardenia might in fact reduce insulin resistance. The research right now just does not provide enough evidence to say it will help you to lose weight. The NIH has put a study out on gardenia, and I'll put it in the show notes. This part is interesting. Here's the abstract from that study. I apologize ahead of time, but I'm going to read the whole abstract because I don't know what to cut out. Quote, digital stress is a newly identified cosmetic stress that is mainly characterized by blue light exposure. The effects of this stress have become increasingly important with the emergence of personal digital devices, and its deleterious effects on the body are well known. Blue light has been observed to cause perturbation of the natural melatonin cycle and skin damage similar to that from UVA exposure. thus leading to premature aging. In other words, a melatonin-like ingredient was discovered in the extract of gardenia jasminoids, which acts as a filter against blue light and as a melatonin-like ingredient to prevent and stop premature aging. The extract showed significant protective effects on the mitochondrial network of primary fibroblasts, a significant decrease of 86% in oxidized proteins on skin explants, and preservation of the natural melatonin cycle in the co-cultures of sensory neurons and keratinocytes. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Only the quercetin form, released through skin microbiota activation, was found to act as a melatonin-like molecule by interacting with MT1 receptor, thus confirming its melatonin-like properties. Finally, clinical studies revealed a significant decrease in wrinkles, number of minus 21% in comparison to the placebo. The extract showed strong protection against blue light damage and the prevention of premature aging through its melatonin-like properties. End quote. That's a wow, in my opinion. Very interesting. Number 5, we have banaba extract. Banaba extract is an extract from the leaves of the crepe myrtle tree, which is native to Southeast Asia. Banaba has been traditionally used in that part of the world to lower blood sugar. We have an NIH study that I'll put in the show notes. And so I read this because this particular herbal extract was definitely worth a second look. The NIH looked at it extensively for weight loss and blood sugar control. It appears that using this herbal supplement in small doses may actually help suppress appetite. My guess here is that it would work better as a single supplement by itself, taken with food, and not just as a pill. But that was interesting too. Salacia extract. Salacia is an herb native to India and Sri Lanka, traditionally used to treat diabetes in that part of the world. And I've got an NIH article on this one, which I'll add to the show notes. This one was found to be effective in a randomized, double-blind placebo study. In other words, nobody knew who was getting the Salacia extract. Here is a quote from the NIH article. Quote, "Studies indicate that Salacia extracts moderate multiple targets that influence carbohydrate and lipid metabolism, including," and they list a bunch of enzymes and other substances that I won't bore you with. The first 3 they mention are enzymes in carbohydrate metabolism, and the last one, angiotensin, is involved in blood pressure control. Here's another quote from the same article. Quote, "Furthermore, Salacia extracts exhibit free radical scavenging, antioxidant, and hepatoprotective activities." End quote. They go on to say that Salacia extracts have been shown to lower blood glucose levels, control insulin, and ultimately lower A1C levels. Weight loss and decreased amount of weight gain have been demonstrated in animal studies as well, but not as convincingly in human studies. What is not known is the effective dose, given the number of actual substances that is involved in the process theorized to be happening. But that is all good news. Stay tuned for more. There are 2 more ingredients in GOLO that I'll dispense with quickly. The first is apple extract. It states on the literature for GOLO that it is holistically used as an antioxidant agent. That is so incorrect that it is laughable, really. It may have a microscopic amount of pectin, something like 1% of a single apple peel, but it's not really worth including in a $60 per month product. Next we have nuts and seeds. Seriously? How many nuts are you getting in a single pill? In their diet, if you want to call it that, they encourage foods like nuts. And that's fine. Almonds, walnuts, cashews. But in order to get the benefits from nuts and seeds, you'd have to go out and purchase a bag of them. That ingredient is just an advertising gimmick. Okay, so let's wrap this up. I bet you're glad to hear that. The first 3 ingredients, the micronutrients, magnesium, zinc, and chromium, you don't really need. In rare cases, if you have a deficiency in any of those, and he can run levels in the blood work. As for the herbal supplements, gardenia, banaba, and salacia extracts hold the most promise for effective control of blood glucose and weight. My recommendation is to skip the GOLO pills with all the ingredients in unknown amounts and get individual supplements. And certainly seek the help of a healthcare professional that you trust in choosing which one of the herbal extracts may work for you. So that's all I have for you today. Be well, and stay tuned next week for another episode of Healing Outside the Box.